Hello, John. It is a great
Uh,
pleasure to have you here.
Thank you. Good to see you again, Berenice.
So the first time we met, it was in Dublin in 2019. And the first interview we had together, it was published by Giulietto Chiesa. Now, in these 3 years and more than 3 years, many things happened. While we had to experience this short trial that Julian has had to face, in the meantime, also worldwide, we had many changes. So we are in a very special time, and Julian, it's an example of these times, a big example. So the first question we all want to know is how is Julian, and when is the last time that you could talk to him?
So, well, I guess to say he's not well is what everybody expects. I mean, physically, and his circumstances haven't improved since Nils Melzer, Professor Nils Melzer, the rapporteur on torture, wrote his comprehensive report after interviewing Julian in Belmarsh prison with two specialist doctors, declaring that Julian was suffering the effects of 7.5 years of psychological torture. So, regretfully, that hasn't improved. Julian has allowed a 10-minute international telephone call that has to always be in credit. At the moment, over the Christmas period, the credit's been used up. So I guess we'll speak in a week or so. Yeah. So that is the rhythm. I last saw Julian about a month ago. Well, that'll be 5 weeks ago now, when I was last in London. London, of course, is a place that's suffering, along with, of course, other parts of Europe, suffering from energy deficiency over the ill-advised sanctions that they've placed on Russia. And the Russian Federation doesn't seem to be making more money, whereas the rest of Europe seems to be being plundered by the United States and having a great deal of difficulty looking after its citizens during this winter.
No, in fact, what I think is that Julian gave us the keys either to discover the past, no? So stuff that happened to us, but also that he gave us the keys to preview the future. So I wondered, what do you think about this current situation? And I wonder if Julian, because I imagine, I know he's not doing well, but we could witness through the all the videos we could see about Julian, his great job he did before he was in Belmarsh, that he has such a strong awareness, no, of everything that is going on in globally. So I wonder if he still has this, if he still has this sensation that he's not alone in this, because he's the main example of persecution in this moment. But we are living a moment in which all of us has a small persecution, respect to his, obviously, but we are now, if before truth was hidden, now even more it's very hard to have the right informations, and it's very hard to be able to have a different thought, or just to have a different a plurality of information. I wonder if Julian is aware of this, and if he realized that is the main thing in this big moment that we are all together in.
Well, You know, Julian is held incommunicado in a maximum security prison. The information that flows into the prison is all moderated by the prison, and they are allowed to watch TV, for example, but they are only allowed to watch the BBC. And as you know, the BBC, if you listen to the BBC and it said that the sun is shining, you would immediately get up from the chair and go and look out the window to check that the sun is shining, because they're not a reliable witness to what's happening to Europe and the United States and Russia. So his circumstances are that what he must concentrate on is getting out of jail.
Yeah.
And that is his singular concern. What do I do? What do I have to do to get out of jail? Now, many people write to Julian, and this, and also each week that people go and stand outside the prison and yell. This brings to Julian a great deal of spiritual health. To be by yourself and to fight the United Kingdom, the Swedish government, and the United States by yourself is just a horrible thought, you know. Yeah. So with the assistance of the supporters worldwide, I feel that we will prevail and Julian will be free. I feel this, I see it, I sense it. With my many thousands of contacts around the world, I received their goodwill, and this has manifested itself in particular, in Italy was the origin from the senators of the Five Star Movement, the origin of the Council of Europe's declarations that Julian must be freed and was a protected journalist. So with that, with every European Parliament having an Assange group, with an Australian government having a Prime Minister, Foreign Minister, and Cabinet supporting Julian, I feel that we are approaching the time when Julian will be able to go home to his family.
Regarding the trial, we know it was a show trial, but until the last moment, we hoped something could happen that normally would happen, so that the institutions and justice was there to protect us. So instead, at the last step so far, the British government signed the extradition. So then we had the defense of Julian that appealed. And so we are still waiting for the answer if this appeal can be accepted or not. Is that right?
Yes, as you say, a show trial. This is correct. The meaning of a show trial is that it's a political persecution, and the solution is not in law, but in politics. So when I say that we have the Australian Prime Minister, the Australian Cabinet, the Australian governing party, which is a left-wing party, the Australian Labor Party, 60 members of the parliamentary body supporting Julian, all of the newspapers, all of the unions, all of the NGOs in Australia. And as Julian is an Australian citizen, the Australian government is the only state withstanding to speak for Julian with the United States. No other government can speak for him. They can say, we would like to see him be free, but they don't have standing because he's a citizen of Australia. As a consequence, this worldwide movement has focused itself in Australia, and the Australian government has made representations to the Americans. And just the day before yesterday, on a national news broadcast, I guess your equivalent is RAI, I'm not sure, but in a national news broadcast at peak time, the global news director, John Lyons, said that he has heard from his sources in cabinet that Julian will be freed unconditionally within 2 months. This is really important. I can't emphasize too much on how what you and I did in Dublin, the start those years ago, the continuous travel, the continuous growth of support until it became like a Niagara, like a Nile River, and then focused itself on the Australian government, and the Australian government moved to bring citizen Assange home to Australia. But it could not have come about without the many thousands and thousands of hours that we all, you and all of us, have put in to this matter. It could not have come about in any other way than resting on the shoulders of yourself and many, many other supporters.
In fact, the amazing thing of all this situation is how the defense of Julian was mostly brought ahead from you, from his wife, from his brother. So I think, I don't know if there is the first time in history of journalism of unfair persecution that the family it's been the real engine of the defense. If it wasn't for you, no institution was moving. Everybody was scared to speak. I remember the first few months I was taking care of Assange's case, and many people were like, but aren't you scared? So it's amazing what the mind of people became lately, that a normal justice situation that everybody should speak about, since there is a strategy that you shouldn't speak about it, and this is in mainstream media, in the governments, etc. The majority of people agree with that. Now, finally, but because of the insistence mostly of the family campaigning, finally you expanded this awareness. So you are a big symbol.
Thank you. But we stood shoulder to shoulder with many people, and I would mention Professor Nils Melzer, who was absolutely fearless, and as the United Nations Rapporteur on Torture, wonderful. And also Christophe Perchot, the United Nations Director of Actions, who brought about the United Nations Working Group on Arbitrary Detention declaration in 2018, February 2018. Those men and the family working with, you can't say in these things that have a worldwide effect in the Western world. We can't say that X did it or Y did it, he did it or she did it. It was a phenomenon of the people, and it gives me heart in the future. The future doesn't look so good for Europe, but it gives me heart that within the people of Europe there exists a hunger in their hearts for justice and a revulsion at the sight of injustice. And this has been manifested in the case of Julian Assange persecution, that I have walked with those people. It gives merely a catalytic opportunity for their need to see justice done and their desire or revulsion at the sight of injustice.
So all about what is clear with the Julian revelation and persecution is that the threat is to our sovereignties, at all levels.
Yes, at all levels.
When you speak about Australia, and you say why Australia didn't speak up until now. Now it seems that Albanese is also saying something, and you say the mainstream media, but they are tight, especially Australia, with the obviously United States and Britain and United Kingdom. But like you say now, Europe is in a very, very difficult moment now because the parliaments are not free. So we have also lost sovereignties at many levels. That's why we are also censored. We have we can't have a free information. Actually, Italy has been since a long time one of the worst with freedom of speech. Since you know something about 5 stars at the beginning when they weren't yet a political party. Also Beppe Grillo was denouncing how Italy was among some African countries, and some African countries had more freedom of speech and information than Italy. So that's why I'm so happy that you have this faith always in our countries here in Europe, but we are really witnessing a big problem of freedom.
I agree with you, but people can't go directly against the state, and because the state nowadays is so powerful. But what people can do is select an icon of their circumstances and move to support that icon and move in a peaceful and persistent manner, determined that the icon should be raised, that the icon of their hunger for justice and their revulsion at injustice should be raised head high. And they have succeeded. It's there for us to look at and see and give ourselves heart by. Because you're a woman and your body is soft. You can't go and throw stones at tanks. It's ridiculous. But what you can do is select something and move to support that something. And that has been, in the case of many millions of people, the circumstances of the persecution of Julian Assange.
That's right. I know you still don't trust, obviously, the show trial steps, but when do you think we will have an answer on the acceptance of the appeal?
Well, I would speculate that there will never be an answer. If what the representations that the Australian government has made to the United States and the United Kingdom are fruitful, then there will be no hearing. the judge will delay and delay and delay until such time as the executive of government say that Assange must be immediately moved from the United Kingdom to Australia, as his visa had expired some 9 years ago. He's served his term and he will be sent back to Australia. That's what I imagine may happen.
So is this why the defense they also brought the case at the European Court of Human Justice or Human Rights?
Oh no, I don't know anything about their strategies of what they're doing with law. But if they have an opportunity to raise the matter at the European Court of Human Rights, I imagine that they would take it because it's said that nobody wants these hearings. They don't want Europe to realize that a European publisher is being extradited to the United States for publishing accurate information about what has happened to the French government, the German government, the United Kingdom government, the Italian government, and so on. They don't want that. They like their secrets. They think they're eggs and they're going to sit on them and hatch.
They need the secrets to move on their strategies. But
Yeah.
so you say at this point there's no point to keep waiting for these jurisdictional steps.
Yeah, but I just speculate. I speculate that if the Australian government's actions are fruitful, then they won't want a hearing. What they'll want to do is send Julian away as quickly as possible.
Okay. So your main trust in this moment is on Australian government and the pressure they're doing.
Well, it's not. If forgive me, I can't use the word trust. Okay. What I can say is that the collective efforts of all of the supporters in every country have focused themselves upon the Australian government, and the Australian government has awoken from its sleep and made representations to the United Kingdom and the United States on behalf of its citizen, Julian Assange. That's what I can say. Yeah. And the premier Australian government news organisation, the Australian Broadcasting Commission, at its prime time with its most important global news editor, John Lyons, has stated within 2 months, Julian Assange will be unconditionally freed. So I'm trying to give you the image that all of the thoughts, hopes, and work of everybody who have supported us over the years have focused down to a point where the Australian government is moving to bring its citizen home. So it's all our work gathered together. Little raindrops have made this ocean of energy which has focused itself in Australia. That's the image that I feel in myself that we have all contributed to. Yeah.
So this is a beautiful hope that you are giving all of us. And so your campaign has been amazing, very hard. You've been traveling with non-stop for months and months. And in many ways, there had been the storytelling of this amazing campaign, also through the movie Ithaca, for example.
Yes, yes, yes.
That
Ithaca,
it's been considered among one of the best movie in Australia in 2022.
yes, yes, is and on Google, not on Google, on Apple Movies, it is number 5 in popularity. But Gabrielle and I will go to the United States with Ithaca in February for 50 showings, Q&As, and exhibitions of the film across the United States. After that, I will go back to sleep, like and just probably have a big cook up and drink too much and so on. Yeah.
So yeah, that's
After that,
no, I mean that's why you used many different ways to arrive in people find minds and awareness, and that's amazing. Again, the effort of the family. So I encourage people to look for the Ithaca movie and to support all
thank you.
the all the
Thank
activity that you're doing.
you. Thank you. And if the what John Lyons says doesn't come true in 2 months, it will come true very soon, you know. And it now the momentum is unstoppable, and the circumstances of the United States and its persecution, and the United Kingdom and its fulfilling of that persecution, the circumstances of those people who design this persecution have changed completely. We no longer have any faith or belief in the quality of the administration of law in the United Kingdom, because it demonstrated clearly that it's willing to hold a show trial of an innocent man and keep him in jail for now moving into 4 years. And the United States is willing to persecute a publisher against the quality of their constitution, which declares in its First Amendment that the government will make no laws against the publication or the speaking of people.
So thank you so much, John. And at the end, our message is that everybody should keep talking about this. Our weapons are our words, our information.
Yes, our words and of course, our spirit and words. Yes.
Okay. So thank you so much, and we'll do an update hopefully soon. And thank you so much for your time.
And don't forget that to cook something delicious for when I call by on our victory tour.
Yes, Italy will be ready with the most delicious food for you and Julian and all the family.
Thank you.